Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast. There is no episode number. This is a midweek special episode for all the news that came out yesterday. If you've been living under a rock, these are the rumours about Xbox going multi-platform for their games. Anyway, I'm your host, Mark Webb, and joining me today is...
I'm dying if someone sings Soft Kitty to me as Nick fights.
And it's Graham or G Ham Ox 14.
There we go. Awesome times. Yeah. So obviously, what happened was, this is a little bit of a rundown. We recorded last night and we finished the podcast. The podcast is already up, so you might have already listened anyway. However, literally an hour after we finished the podcast last night, my social media just went haywire with, firstly, it started off with news that Starfield is going to go to PS5. And I was like, what? And then more news kept on rolling through, which we'll dig through throughout this podcast. So basically, in a nutshell, it's not just Starfield coming to PlayStation.
Nope.
It looks like the rumours is now, and bear in mind that it's all just rumours. However, obviously these started last night. It's now 24 hours almost since all this stuff broke, and Microsoft have not said anything. And to me, that sounds very suspicious. Because you would have thought if it's false, they would have come out straight away and put a statement out. Yeah. No statement has gone out.
I mean, they can't respond to every set of rumours / leaks or whatever that comes out on social media. If they did, that's all they'd do.
Yeah, but this has gone on to like all the major gaming news sites, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So what the rumours is now is that all Microsoft Studio games will be coming to PlayStation, and some of them also to the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we already knew about, Sea of Thieves, because that was leaked a couple of weeks ago. But what I've seen is that Indiana Jones is now going to be coming to PlayStation. Hellblade 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Flight Simulator, Grounded, Pentiment, and most shocking of all, the Gears franchise and the Halo franchise.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. Now obviously, social media has been a buzz. It's been on fire, right? And, take it with a little bit of a pinch of salt, because obviously it's not been confirmed or denied. But big websites have also kind of confirmed this. Now, I'll get into some of this else before we talk about our feelings. Now, I've read on Forbes that they've said this has leaked out because there is some internal strife within Xbox about the plan for the multi-platform. The main idea from shareholders within Xbox is that Xbox has lost the console war for 2 generations now, and they are saying that their future is in gaming services, and they want to bring Xbox games to as many people as possible, being that through the Xbox app on PC, as an example, or game streaming, or just the games. So that's really interesting. Now, what else I just read not very long ago is that the big internal struggle is going on between Phil Spencer and another person at Microsoft called Sarah Bond. I think she's quite a high up person within Xbox. So she's the one who's calling for all this, move it to multi-platform. Phil's saying no. So there's even more rumours. So there's even rumours going around now that Phil's going to leave because he's not happy with this stuff, shall we say. And Phil's been really good for Xbox. I think he pulled Xbox back from obviously the disastrous launch of the One and all that sort of stuff, right? So yeah, let me just read a couple more things before I let you guys get a word in. I'm sorry. So basically, a little snippet that I've read here, so that Microsoft has decided that they aren't going to make enough money with the current strategy. They want to build healthier margins and cash flow using Sony's install base. So that's interesting. And this other little bit a snippet that I found is that, as well as this stuff, the Call of Duty games will not come to Game Pass. They will still be separate games, which you'll have to buy.
Right.
And also that hardware sales have not met the projected sales figures. And the chief financial officer is not happy. Apparently, in the last 3 months of 2023, they put the price of the Series X down to $350, and it still didn't sell very well. The Xbox One at this period of time had actually sold more than the Series consoles, which I'm quite surprised about, to be honest.
Mm.
Apparently, also Microsoft, Xbox have said that Game Pass is now unsustainable. In this current market, they are not making enough to offset the cost, and that's because obviously they've kind of plateaued on subscribers now. It's kind of hit a peak. Yeah, it's not growing. Yeah. So that's quite interesting. See what's going to happen there. And obviously, Microsoft have spent $69 billion acquiring Activision, and they would like a return on that investment. And they think that this is the best way that they can get that return.
Makes sense.
Now, also, apparently, these leaks have happened because an employee at Microsoft is not happy about the multi-platform stuff. So they leaked it so there would be public outcry. Also, they said that because Microsoft had such an issue with the acquisition of Activision, that if they go fully multi-platform, they will no longer have those issues in the future because they're looking at acquiring more studios.
Wow.
And also, as part of the plan that's in this snippet, this is the last thing, is that going forward, all Xbox studio games will be digital only. So there'll be no physical copies. And
that leaked a couple of weeks ago, didn't it?
Yeah. But also, this is one that I'm really pissed off about, if it's true, is that if you're playing a game on Game Pass, they will add adverts.
Yeah,
so
I
before
saw
the
that.
game launches, you'll see an advert, and they're looking at adverts like in between chapters and stuff like that as well. So there's quite a lot to digest there. To be honest, guys, I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, the adverts thing, I think a lot of them are pushing that now. I think Amazon Prime recently announced they're going to start putting adverts in the movies unless you pay another £3 on top.
Yeah.
They're just pushing what they can get away with because, like I said, when Game Pass started, that was pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And it's gone up. I think it started off at like $7.99 a month, and now it's $12.99. I want to say. Yeah, but
I think you're right.
Because I'm pretty sure it's 13 if it's Ultimate with.
Yeah, Game Pass Ultimate. So I think it's about £14 a month or something.
Oh, yeah, so that's gone. I mean, same as Netflix when it started over here.
Yeah.
£6 a month, and now it's like 12. And if you want the 4K one, that's like 16. So they're going to try what they can get away with. But what do you reckon, Graham?
I think the problem is and I think it was Metro, who I don't call a bastion of sort of very, very solid reporting, put an article out about 3 weeks ago that said something like, I think the headline was something along the lines of, Microsoft have given you a good reason not to buy an Xbox with Game Pass. And I think for the casual gamer, I think that's pretty much it. Everybody's bought Game Pass. I mean, you can play Game Pass on TVs, on
the
phones.
Samsung telly I got just before Christmas, took about that Game Pass app.
Yeah, and so you can play games.
Worse than playing on the console. It wasn't any good because I suppose my internet's not the best. The 70 meg, but I suppose
it is patchy. But you've got so many options to play the games somewhere else that it sort of almost undermines the need for the console. In a way.
Well, I kind of disagree. I do disagree because I don't think game streaming is as good as playing locally anyway, and I've always thought that, no matter how good my internet is. Obviously, to the filthy casual, they don't notice a difference apparently. But
if you're a gamer, I mean, I'm going to use the music analogy, right? Most people will happily have a music subscription service like Spotify, but the people who want to buy an album, say they want to get a vinyl album, will think nothing of dropping 30 quid and getting the vinyl that they want. But for most average people who are in their car, who just want to listen to something or, you know, whatever, walking into town to do the shopping, got your headphones in, you pay your 12 quid a month and you can just skim it. And if you look how much those services pay their artists, it is outrageous how little it is.
Yeah. Now,
I think with the game streaming thing, it's one of these where, I mean, what percentage of people who are on Xbox actually use that service? I mean,
I think
compared
it's
to
quite
people
low.
and then to people who use it full time, I mean, you're probably talking what, less than 5%, if not even less than 1% who only use it.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the more people. Once more people go that way, then they'll put more money into that service.
Yeah,
and then it's like I remember, comparing this to Netflix when it started, because I got Netflix like the first sort of day it came out in the UK.
Yeah.
It was crap. You could barely get HD, and you could tell the difference between watching a Blu-ray and a DVD. It looked like watching an old VHS. And obviously now, I could probably still tell the difference between watching Netflix and watching a Blu-ray, but 99% of people probably couldn't.
I think gaming's different.
They want us to go, don't they? Maybe that's what they want.
Yeah, I just think gaming's different because it's more. It takes more. It's immersive. It's you're actually doing stuff, and that there's that input delay between the control and what's happening on the screen, etc., etc. And I don't think it's there yet, but
it will be though. It will be.
My thoughts and feelings on this is I've got mixed feelings about all these announcements, right? And I've been quite vocal on the Discord community. It kept me up quite late last night as well because it was just mulling me over. Now, I've been a gamer since I can remember. PlayStation, Xbox, Sega Saturn, Mega Drive, SNES, etc. However, I've been Xbox since launch day, the original Xbox, right?
Me too.
I've been subscribed to Xbox Live for over 20 years. Yeah, I've got the 20-year badge on there, So some people could probably call me a little bit of an Xbox fanboy. And they're probably right because, it's been the longest I've stuck with a system in my whole life. Even though I've picked up all the PS consoles as well, they've kind of been my secondary systems, right, for those exclusives. Xbox has always been my main console. And to be honest, like this stuff, as an Xbox fan, I'm a little bit disappointed because to me, and I know people say, oh yeah, it's good to have all games on all systems, and I get that argument. However, exclusive games sell systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will buy a PlayStation just to play Final Fantasy. I will buy, the reason I bought an original Xbox was to play Halo, right?
I bought the GameCube because the Resident Evil games are exclusive on.
Yeah.
That's what. That,
And I'm not talking about it from just because I want it kept on my console. Oh, my precious, right? I'm talking about it's healthy competition in the market, right? Because what happens?
Yeah.
Now Xbox, say this is true, and you could have a PS5 and you could play all the Xbox games, right? Well, there's no point in Xbox even having a console, right? So what happens next gen, right? What happens next gen when Xbox don't? Yeah, there's no Xbox, so you literally have PS6 or the Switch 2, right? Sony they don't have any competition in the powerhouse console market, so they'll take the piss. They'll be like, right, we'll sell our next console for $1,000 and we'll make our games £150 each because we've got no fucking competition.
They started to do that the last few years anyway. They'll be putting the prices up and the amount of games and exclusive. And like I said, if these companies are not sort of in competition with each other, it's like they're unified to all fuck us over.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just
PlayStation, when they put their price up to £70 a game,
I'm
pretty sure Nintendo quickly followed on some games like Zelda and then Xbox copied them again.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what this really gets me at, maybe these leaks.
Yeah.
I mean, and people forget, and people keep mixing these words together like they're the same. Xbox and Microsoft are not the same. Microsoft is a software company. Xbox is a game console hardware company.
Well, and a software company with the studios that they have.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but what I'm saying is that, Microsoft and Xbox probably have big meetings a few times a year, probably had the big one in January, and they've all said, oh, well, why don't... And they're looking at from purely financial. Don't care. They're looking at the next quarter, the next 3 years, 5 years. Don't care what this is the ramifications of the long-term future of the company or industry, because the people that are in, these positions now are probably not going to be in the position or even at that company in
they're
2
just
or 3 years' time.
And,
they just want to make it look good while they're there. They don't care what it looks like afterwards. If anything, they hope it goes to shit after they leave, because that proves that they did a good job, so they might get hired back again. So they're probably looked at it this way and thought, oh, Game Pass is making all of our money. The console isn't making loads of money. I mean, they are making money. They're just not making as much as they want. It's not like Xbox are in dire straits. They're still 2 generations.
They made record profits, didn't they?
Exactly. They're still sold, millions, probably more than the GameCube, more than the N64, more than the Dreamcast, probably combined. On Xbox One and 3, people forget that. Just because PlayStation sold 100 million, that doesn't mean that the Xbox One selling 60 million is a flop. Do you know what I mean? That's
consoles. Consoles generally sell at a little bit of a loss because they make they claw their money back from the game sales because they get X amount.
It's Razorblade modelling. It's only the last couple of gens where they've actually made. I mean, compared to, kind of peanuts, they probably make £50 a console, whereas before, they would probably lose £100 a console. But then, obviously, with the disc, when you actually look at the physical, of what a disc is and the case, even when we look, when we were buying them games for like £40, that's probably costing them £1 to make it. Do you see what I mean? So, but with them, like I say, with Microsoft, they looked at it this way and thought, to make it look good for them. Well, okay, Xbox are AMD, PlayStation is Nvidia. Why wouldn't we put Windows only on AMD? Why would we not stick that on?
Well, they're
Nvidia?
actually both. They're both AMD, but yeah.
We know what I mean, don't you? That's how they're looking at it, because the laptops, some of them are an AMD, some of them are Intel, and did I say Nvidia, not Intel?
Yeah, you said it. Anyway, I mean,
you know what I mean, don't you?
I know what you're saying, Nick.
Purely on money.
Yeah. So I've just found.
I don't like. I don't think we've said this a few times over the last few years, haven't we, Webby?
Yeah. So I've just found something else that I just want to. Like, so apparently, this Sarah Bond woman wants Xbox to go towards kind of a Stadia-like model. So like focusing on the streaming, just serving software to all the different platforms. Because the Xbox hardware hasn't been financially viable since the Xbox One. And apparently, someone who was in this meeting says that Phil Spencer is absolutely furious about this. But corporate Microsoft is backing Sarah Bond over Phil Spencer over these plans.
Wow.
Which is one of the reasons why the rumours are that Phil's going to leave, because he's not because he doesn't feel that this is the way that Microsoft should be going, and I agree with him. You know,
it just seems like it's like Microsoft. You know, I look at Microsoft as the parents to Xbox, and it just seems like they don't want to come in; they want to stay out and play, and then the parents are like, no, come in. You've got to come in now. You're not allowed to play anymore, but.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mad because if you look at the history of Xbox, and I watched that documentary that was on YouTube, and it was really good insight, and I kind of knew quite a lot of it anyway, because originally the Xbox, the OG fat Xbox, Microsoft didn't want them to do it, but they managed to, long story short, they managed to get off the shelf kind of PC parts. And ship it out very cheap, and then obviously, gained a community, and from my personal point of view, it's quite, it's just quite emotional because and people say, well, how the fuck can you get emotional over a fucking box? You know what I mean? But for me, it's
the memories.
20 years, right? It's a long time, right? It's I've been on Xbox longer than probably some people who are listening to this podcast right now, right? I've been alive.
Oh, don't.
Well, when Xbox launched originally, it felt like you were in this cool little niche club, especially when Xbox Live launched, right? Because you play on all these games online, and because there were so few users on Xbox Live, you would run into the same people all the time, and you'd be chatting shit, and you just make bonds, and it just felt like you're in this little club. And obviously, Xbox has grown from there, and obviously, we all know that the, and this community, the Xbox 360 gen, for most of us, is our favourite console generation ever. Had great games, great online, that lasted a long time, and it feels to me that since the 360 gen finished and we moved on to the One and then the Series, they've kind of, Xboxers have lost their way a little bit, especially since the Series generation. I mean, the console's great, but personally, I feel that since they've launched Game Pass, and I love Game Pass for the value for money, because I've always rented games since the 360 era, but I feel that the quality of the games that they've released has been very poor. And you've just got to look at a few examples. Look at Halo Infinite, launched rubbish. It's good now, but
Redfall.
Gears 5 was trash.
Gears 5 was shit. Starfield was very mediocre. And my biggest flippy flop, which is still upsets me now, is Forza. And excuse me, I've got a blocked nose. But so I do think to myself, if Game Pass never launched, then we'd listen to Switch and Stunty because they're the hardcore. I won't subscribe and I still buy my physical games. If it stayed that way, would those studios have pushed out better games? You look at PlayStation, right? They refuse to do what Microsoft do with Game Pass, and they're like, our games are 70 quid, and we'll launch them because they're worth that, and you get the quality. And to be fair, 99% of the time, PlayStation put out a banger, right? They're not
And
glitchy
Nintendo.
messes, and Nintendo, right? Because the way I think about it, right, is the studios or whoever is like, well, this is going on to Game Pass, so we don't need to put in as much effort because we're not making £50 to £70 a game. It's just going on the subscription service, right? And the Xbox exclusives have really suffered this generation massively, in my opinion.
Do you think they've released them, and even though they said they're finished, they're basically early access game previews?
Well,
I mean,
they're just going to that live service model, aren't they? Like with Forza, it's meant to be that live service, and they're meant to be improving it over time and end stuff.
Got away with it, you know, for like not just Xbox. A lot of Western developers have gotten away with releasing broken games. Oh, we'll patch it later, and people just expect that. Whereas obviously Nintendo, the reason they got as big as they did was the Nintendo seal of approval in the 80s, where loads of
and the 90s.
Yeah, I mean 80s then 90s. Where all the other companies that were about at the time, so many of them were just releasing absolute crap that you'd be lucky if the game loaded, let alone work, let alone played any good and stuff like that. So I still think that's ingrained in the Japanese mentality from Nintendo and Sony, because they're not far removed from that, and they realise that the quality, that's the end of the thing. The game has to be good. You can say you don't like Sony types of games. They're well made. They don't. They're not glitchy or buggy and stuff like that.
It's true.
And I just think that's just like say Japanese versus the West and things like that.
No, 100% agree.
I just think that's what people don't. So many people now, like you said, Webber, you've been doing this podcast and playing Xbox. I mean, what was the first podcast? Was it 360?
Gamercast. We've got our 16-year anniversary this weekend, so
exactly. So
and this is the thing, Nick. Right? It's for me. It's because it is quite emotional in some weird ways, because it makes me feel like, is this the end of me wanting to play Xbox now? Because and it's like, it's been 20 years. I've made a lot of my best friends through Xbox. This community was built through Xbox. This podcast was built through Xbox, right? It's a big part of my life, and it just feels like last night I was sitting there thinking, why do I don't need to buy another Xbox now. When next gen hits, I'll just buy a PS6 and stick with PC, because there's just no need for an Xbox.
And I don't think that's what Xbox are thinking, and I don't think they care. But the only problem is they're assuming that people are gonna just keep Game Pass going and keep paying month to month, every month, year on year, whereas I think it's going to completely backfire and go the way, basically, how you do Ubisoft Plus, Webby.
Yeah.
How you'll subscribe for a month or two, then cancel it.
Yeah.
I think they're just looking at, they're reading the numbers how they want to read the numbers.
How
it suits them. And I think it will completely backfire. And I don't know if you think this, guys, but I think these leaks were intentional.
Maybe.
Because I think they wanted to see how people react, because there were slight leaks when they said Xbox was going all, the one, where it was always online, no used games. There were leaks.
Yeah.
No one really believed it, because we were like, nah, that'd be stupid to do that. Why would you do that? It's not good for us at all. Yeah. And then it happened, and it was a huge backfire. I think I wouldn't surprise me if this was leaked just to get the reaction. And probably someone off the Xbox side has leaked all this stuff out.
Yeah.
Or, all together. Or they've said, well, I'll tell you what, we'll leak all this stuff. We'll put it out as leaks and then see what they think. Yeah. And now they'll probably have another meeting next weekend and go, yeah, this is probably a bad idea. And then they'll come out and say, no, that's not happening. Or they'll completely ignore it.
So I've got a couple of things, right? Now, there's a few ways that this could go. Now, it depends how many games that you want to play, how invested you are in the Xbox ecosystem now. Now, for me, what makes this hard as well is I've spent thousands and thousands of pounds on a digital Xbox library, right? So if I don't have an Xbox anymore, obviously I won't have access to that massive library of games that I've accumulated, right?
Yeah.
And that's one thing. If Game Pass carries,
library's going to go over, just Game Pass, yeah, good point.
Yeah. Now, but the other thing is, Xbox could continue as a console. There's a few things. They might not even bring out a next console and just go streaming or whatever. If they do bring out another console, most people will buy it just for a Game Pass machine. They'll pay the monthly sub, have the system, and just play those Game Pass games. Proper gamers who want to play everything will be like, fuck this, you're a bunch of cunts. I'm buying a PS6, so I'll get all the PS exclusive and all the Xbox exclusives all on one system. And I don't give a shit if I have to pay 50 quid plus for that game. I'll just buy the games I want to play and maybe be subscribed to PS Plus Premium as well. So that's the other thing, because I can't see, obviously, Game Pass going on to PlayStation, because that would just be fucking... PlayStation would never allow that, right? So, as, from my point of view, what I would do is probably have a PS6, and depending on how much Game Pass is, because you never know how much it's going to be, I'll just have Game Pass on my PC. So I'll still get access to all that library there anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's just boggles my mind where Xbox is going with these rumors, because it seems to me that they don't want to make consoles anymore and they want to go the route of Sega and just publish games. And then if that
but we
happens,
know what happened to them.
Yeah, but if that happens, then there will only be literally just be PlayStation and Nintendo, and that's just fucking seems crazy to me.
That's bad.
Because then we will have £100 games, £150 games and stuff.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder as well, because obviously we know these companies do talk to each other.
Yeah.
And I know they've said, it's sort of like Xbox, PlayStation would love Game Pass on there. I was like, would they really, though?
No.
Do you know what I mean? They'll take a little cut of the Game Pass. But like I said, the whole console thing is sell the console at a loss or a very, very small profit and make the money up on games. Yeah. If you're turning on the PlayStation and playing Xbox stuff, not Sony stuff, Sony's not making money.
Yeah, that's true, 100%.
So why would they do it? Makes me think that Sony have told them that they would, but they wouldn't.
I don't think they will. No, there's no way. I don't see it happening.
They would. What is the point for them? That's it's no bonus. Yeah, they'd take a little bit of money, but they'd lose money if people are playing on Game Pass.
The other thing is, Nick, right, is I know a lot of people that listen to this are subscribed to Game Pass, right, but not subscribed to PS Plus Premium. I'm subscribed to both because I'm a fucking nutter, right? and to be honest with you, the titles on PS Plus Premium, there's lots of good games on there, and there's quite a lot of overlap of games also on Game Pass and PS Plus anyway, right? So why not? So if you're savvy, you just have a PS6, say, PS Plus Premium, so you get all those games, right? And then you just buy the odd Xbox exclusive game that you want to play as well. And then you're sorted, right?
I think it's just a lot of people knew when they released the PlayStation Premium as it was a lesser version of Xbox. I know they've added better games to it now, but because Xbox brought out all the exclusive on it and Sony didn't, everyone just assumed that Sony version was crap. Yeah. Even though it turns out most of the Xbox exclusives turn out to be crap games anyway.
Yeah.
But it's just weird. But I was reading today, because it's hard to find on Twitter all this Xbox stuff, because I still keep getting adverts for "Have you seen this OnlyFans video?"
Oh, fucking hell!
That's terrible now. But Cost me a lot of money in OnlyFans subscriptions, obviously. But yeah, like, talking about Starfield, I'm like, I mean, I said to you before, I was like, oh, it's not coming to PlayStation, and I just said it will be a 12-month exclusive. No, they've said it'll be a 12-month exclusive. It will come to PlayStation next September, because Xbox have done this, PlayStation have done this 20 years ago, made games that are exclusive, never coming to anything else, and then a couple of years later, after the exclusivity deal, it's done. I mean, I remember going back because I've been watching because the new Tomb Raider, the new old remasters of the Tomb Raiders are coming out in a couple of weeks. I've been watching some Tomb Raider retrospectives on YouTube, and they were talking about Rise of the Tomb Raider. Which, remember, that was Xbox exclusive for about a year. And then they got out the thing. But that was one where they were openly honest about it and said, you know, remember when they used to say timed exclusive, world, you know, all that sort of stuff. And it just seems like if Xbox lie about it, they get shit. If they're open about it, they get shit. So I think, well, I might as well just lie and get shit anyway when it happens. You know, because I mean, and that will do. And would it surprise? You know, pretty much everything that they've bought, like Activision, all that stuff, and Bethesda, wouldn't surprise me if that's all going to be timed exclusive for 12 months.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make an announcement I've just seen on Twitter. Phil Spencer has put out a tweet.
Oh, no.
Oh.
He says, "We're listening and we hear you. We've been planning a business update event for next week.
What did we just say?
Where we look forward to sharing more details with you about our vision for the future of Xbox. Stay tuned."
Ooh.
So we're not going to know anything until next week.
What? How did I just say that?
Oh, that's mental.
I could be Phil Spencer. You don't know this.
You could be, yeah.
I don't think I am.
Oh, I'd like to be earning his money.
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I'll tell you what, I know, looked at that, you know, I mean, you remember, Webby, why Microsoft actually got into the console race? Because they didn't need to, did they?
No.
What they actually did was basically Sony pissed off Bill Gates, didn't they? Because they basically, when they announced the PS2 in like 99, they announced it and then it got delayed. Something like 99. They said, "Oh, this," and that's, I think that's one of the reasons they call the Xbox One the One, because they said the PS2 is the all-in-one device for your living room. It plays your games, it plays your DVDs. It also has a computer on it with Linux so you don't even need a computer, and that really pissed him off, like on a personal level. That he felt attacked by Sony, so that's why he started and said, "I want to make a console because I want to piss off Sony." And isn't it funny how he didn't retire? Like, I think he still gets the money and he's like there or there, but when he stepped down around 2008, 2009 of the day-to-day running type thing, that's when we got 360 started to turn to shit. With all the Kinect and the always online.
Well, that's because Bill Gates was spending all his time visiting Epstein's Island.
Well, that too, obviously. But I just think that when the people who made Xbox, they shared the same vision and passion for the thing as what Bill did. We want to make the best PlayStation alternative to them. And obviously he left. And, you know, and this is the same sort of thing happening there. It's the vision of the company. Where are you going? Do you actually give a shit? Are you just going to... Why should we invest into your product if the product's not going to be around? A lot of rumours. And like I said to you, I mean, I did just say it like 10 minutes ago. These are deliberate leaks put out there to gauge what people are saying. And I think people have said, we don't want it. And I'm pretty sure this is what Microsoft want, not what Xbox want. And I know people say, oh, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing, is it?
No,
Xbox
I mean,
is a revision of that. It doesn't mean it's, you know, Xbox want to do what Xbox want to do, and Microsoft just want to make all the money and do stuff like that. It's just the fact that Sony aren't making much money outside of PlayStation with TVs and stuff.
Yeah, because with Sony, obviously all their other stuff used to be their big money maker, right? Walkmans and shit like that. But now, obviously, PlayStation is their biggest earner.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I think PlayStation's a great system. I really do. They do great exclusives, and if you know, And I think if I had a PS5 now, like this gen, I'd be very happy because obviously the Xbox exclusives have been meh. But I don't know, man. It just to see Xbox go from strength to what they are now, and with this news, it's just so deflating. It must be like how it felt, I think, when Sega announced that there'd be no more consoles. And I remember that because I had a Dreamcast, and I was really upset when there wasn't going to be a Dreamcast 2. But then Xbox came into the picture, and Xbox was really like the Dreamcast 2. You know? That's how it felt to me.
I mean, Dreamcast and Sega, that was very similar, internal struggles, but you had Sega of America and Sega Japan basically arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And then it got to a stage where they're basically sabotaging each other.
Oh, that's ridiculous,
to get brownie points. Oh, well, America's doing well, so it must be Japan, and blah, blah, blah. And that's why. And this is, pretty much the last decade at Xbox, very similar things. It happened around the launch of the Xbox One for a few years, and now it's been happening the last couple of years. I mean, Phil Spence, he's not a mug. He listens to all these podcasts. He listens to stuff, and he knows what people are talking about. He knows that Xbox haven't released enough good exclusives for the last 4 or 5 years of this console. He knows it. And I know you can't release... I mean, what was it they always said? Oh, a bad game is always bad, but a delayed game is good eventually. Well, they're delaying them, and they're still bad.
Yeah.
You look at... been in development for about 7-8 years, and it's nothing more than a glorified indie game. It looks exactly the same as it did when it came out nearly a decade ago, Hellblade 2, and I'm thinking... I went on last night where they were talking about all these layoffs and stuff like that, but it's just how many more people are working on games and how much longer they're taking to make them, and the quality of them's down.
Yeah. I know, it's upsetting, Sorry, I'm coughing. I'm having to mute myself because I keep on coughing, but
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think next week they're gonna announce one way or the other. They'll just say, how can we spin this in a nice way to get them off our back? Because they're not going to say, by the way, we're going to go digital only.
Well, from what I'm reading, is they're going to announce
something.
They're going to announce games going to PlayStation as well. I think that's all that's what I'm reading on Twitter at the minute. So we shall see. So
So why don't PlayStation announce that their games are going to Xbox then? It's good to share.
Well, they've already got some. I mean, MLB The Show is a Sony studio game, and that's on Game Pass, man. Every fucking year.
I meant good games.
Yeah, well, it is a good game. But, as we've already said in this podcast, exclusives sell systems. And if you're a PlayStation gamer at the minute, you're eating well, right? Because you've had some good exclusives this gen. You get all the multi-platform games, and you'll get some shoddy Xbox Studio exclusive games as well now. Can't wait for you guys to all enjoy Redfall. Lols.
It just seems... Let's say, Microsoft are pushing it to get good revenue over the next 12 months because if they did put all these, let's just say we're announcing the 1st of March, we're putting Starfield on there digitally, the whole Gears of War, all these games, that'd be good. Like initially they'd get
how well would they sell over there? I don't know. Like I actually don't know how well they'd sell.
Now I'm not saying they'd sell, but they would be getting more money than what they're selling only on Xbox at the moment. I'm saying, but they might get like a 20% increase in digital sales for the next 12 months, which they think, 20%, great. But in the next 5 years, you're going to lose 200% because no one's going to bother buying the next Xbox. Because even if it's not all exactly like that, if it's known that you can get Xbox games on PlayStation, why would you buy an Xbox?
Yeah, 100%.
Even if that's not the case, if that's what the majority think, and that's how Sony will push it, why would you bother? I mean, that's the same as me when I found out that Dreamcast was getting discontinued, I'm like, well, why would I bother buying games for this machine? Sega's not going to do anything anymore. I might as well trade it in and buy something else.
Yeah.
That's just how people think, even if it's not 100% true. If that's how Sony will push it, and I just think that'll probably end up being the death of Xbox if they're not careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's sad.
It is, but I think the main difference is, right, between the older systems that died and say Xbox, is a lot of people, as I mentioned, have a big digital library, right?
Yeah.
Would you want to give all that up? Would you not just keep that system just to play them and then just have it sat in a corner gathering dust and then start buying everything new on your PlayStation or something? Or would you just be like, fuck this shit, I'm selling my Xbox, fuck them, I'm just going to go PlayStation and forget about all that money I spent? And I think that's the thing that people are going to ponder, to be fair.
Webby, they could just turn it all off.
Yeah, they could.
They don't even have to give us any notice. If Xbox wanted to, they could just turn everything off you've bought and delete it tomorrow. That's what's in that do you accept terms and conditions. Yeah. That's what it is. We had that just before Christmas with PlayStation News and all the movies and videos. We've had some games come off, like Drive Club and things like that, and one of the Forza games got took off as well, didn't it?
Yeah.
And things like that. But some of them, you could still download them, but some, like these movies, you can't get them at all.
Yeah.
Like, they could, I mean, I don't, because I'm from the physical age, the same as you guys, the same as Twitch and stuff like that, we know that's a thing I can use. Like I said, I've got all these games and PS1 games, all these, I can put the discs in a machine and they'll just work. You know, I'm not expecting like I said to you, that's why I'm reluctant to go digital media unless it's dirt cheap months later or a couple of years later, and I'll give it a go because I know it's a throwaway. I know it's throwaway. I didn't buy Alan Wake. It's not. I don't agree with it, and I don't trust any of them because they will do it, and they don't care. I mean, what was it? Came out a few weeks ago, Ubisoft. You better get used to not owning your games. I'm like, well,
See, this is why I know this is why I like PC gaming, right? And I'm not saying games will get lost or whatever, but generally, right, the good thing about PC gaming is, right, you got your stores like Steam and stuff like that, right? You buy a new PC, you upgrade it, you just log into your account, you re-download the games. Your library is always there, right? Steam's been going since the early 2000s. All the games are still there for you to re-download.
They hated it when it came out, Webby. Everybody hated Steam when it came out.
And now everyone loves it. Right?
Yeah.
So, that and that is why I kind of have gravitated towards PC gaming. That's why I really like it, because you don't have this generation thing like with consoles. Like Xbox has been great. They have been great with the backwards compat stuff, but it's not all 100%. There's loads of Xbox Live games I bought, Xbox Live arcade games I bought on the 360 that I can't play on the Xbox One or Series systems, right? Whereas if I bought it on Steam in, say, 2005, I'd still be able to play it now, right? And I think that's one of the advantages of PC gaming, and I think more people should maybe think about moving across there because it's more open, it's cheaper, but for the games.
So, Webby, do you think that was because a lot of the, Xbox Live, Summer of Arcade and all that, the games you bought were cheaper games, you don't cause up a fuss? Whereas if they were, say, stuff you'd bought like 5 years ago, not 10 years ago, and they were really expensive 60 quid full price games, if they'd have took those off the store, do you think you'd have actually still been on Xbox?
I don't know, because they're always available to still download, right? At the minute. If they've taken them away, I would be annoyed. I would be really pissed off. That's one of the things we said
about Steam, and I know Game Mule's still about, and they said, and I think they've pretty much had a clear message, because nobody trusts them, said, your library will stay with you. We are not going to take stuff. Because, I mean, there must be that's probably costing Steam, a couple of £100 million a year, if not more, to keep games on a server that people don't even play.
Yeah.
But if they're known for, we're going to delete 10%, the bottom 10% or 5% of games that people don't play anymore. Nobody's played these games for 10 years, so we're going to delete them to save server space. The only thing that reads in the news is Steam are deleting your games that you've paid for.
Yeah.
And people get that mindset that they're going to delete it. And it's like, well, if they started to delete that, what are they going to do next? So that's why they've, deliberately gone out of the way to not delete stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they've overwritten stuff and updated stuff, but but Steam's always had a clear message, hasn't they?
Yeah. And it's just taking that away, right? It's just interesting the way that technology has gone with consoles, right? But they're pushing more towards that digital future. Xbox even more so, where they're pushing the streaming and stuff like that. And it's just with all this news that's come out, it's kind of like, they. It looks to me like they just want to be an app on your device where you can just stream or download just the games on their service, like the Netflix of gaming. Yeah. That is what they want to be,
PlayStation as well, Webby, and Nintendo. That's what they all want. They want total control over what you play, how you play it, when you play it, and they want a monthly subscription for it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Sony, Sony wouldn't have done PS Plus with all the games if Microsoft hadn't done it. I feel that they felt pressured into it because I've read
PlayStation Plus was before Game Pass.
Yeah, but I mean PlayStation Plus with like how it is now with a big library, right?
Yeah.
Because Sony have even come out and said even last year and said, look, we value our exclusive games where we will not put them on to our service at launch. They are, we want to keep the quality of our titles at a premium, and they said the only way we can do it is to charge the price for the game. Obviously you've got games like Demon Souls and Spider-Man on the service now, but they only put them on the service years after they came out, after they made all the money from selling the games anyway, right?
Yeah.
And they came out and said, we do not know how Microsoft are making money from putting their exclusives on the service day one, because they said that they can't see it being financially viable. And that's why, and I think that's why you see that quality difference.
I think that's a long-term viable, than a short-term thing. I think short-term Game Pass was making them a lot. I think that bubble's now burst, and that's why they're having things. I mean, my Game Pass ran out in early December, and I haven't renewed it. So a lot of people I know is like, I'm not going to bother with that anymore. All the games are either played them or they're crap. So you think people are now starting to lose. They've got to react. That's probably what these meetings are, aren't they?
Yeah.
But their argument is we'll go for an even more short-term option to make money.
It just makes no sense to me because I always thought that Game Pass, as you say, was a long-term plan. They'd start it off cheap, get the subscriber base up, because they must be making fucking millions a month just of the subscription fees anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm no financial guy, so I don't know if they're making money or not. But it must be a lot of money that they're raking in, and it just feels like they're rushing to recoup the money that's been spent acquiring Activision, and it just makes no sense to me, because if they left it, let the games be made and come out, put on the service, give it a few more years, and keep the model as it is at the minute, I think that they would have been reaping those benefits.
Yeah.
But I think they're being a bit too impatient now.
And also, Game Pass hasn't been as good as what it should. I mean, you think, what's it, 4 years of this console, and we've had one Gears of War, it's been pretty trash.
Yeah.
One Halo, it's pretty trash.
Yeah.
We had a Forza Horizon, which was okay, but more of the same. and then another Forza Motorsport reboot, which even one of the biggest Forza fans ever, Webby, said it's crap.
Yeah, and it's a shame. Now, you say that, Nick. Sorry, I've just been talking to Darren on WhatsApp. It was in my mind. Yes, I agree with you 100%. However, Game Pass is really good for the multi-platform games that are on there, because there's been a lot of really good games on there. I feel, like your Resident Evils, a lot of good JRPGs that I really like. I've played a lot of really good quality titles on there. It's just the fact that the Xbox Studio games have been shit.
Yeah, they have. I don't know if that's deliberate or subconsciously they've thought because they're coming out on Game Pass.
Yeah, they're just not putting the effort in. So yeah,
I'm not saying that's a deliberate, because obviously no one wants to release a broken game, do they?
Yeah.
No.
Subconsciously they thought, well, it's coming to Game Pass. People are going to have it for years at a time. Yeah, people might say it's broken at the start, but all games are broken at the start. Like you said, Cyberpunk, probably the biggest example. And then, 3 years later, after so many patches, it's brilliant. Well, that shouldn't be praised. And I just think that's what it's done. Whereas, Spider-Man 2 I'm playing at the moment, it plays really well. I've had no problems with it, no issues, and it looks great. Whereas, I can't remember if ever for a long time anyone saying that about a Sony game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I say it was crap, but not actually.
No, Sony games are like Nintendo games, right? They pretty much always launch great, in like performance-wise, graphic-wise. They're just good, right? Whereas
it just makes me wonder if these games they're releasing them and they're saying they're finished, but they're basically early access, but not telling you.
Yeah.
Because they're just getting away, they're just seeing what they can get. I could understand that if they were releasing it, but why are there so many delays on Xbox games as well?
Don't know what's going on. They bought all these fucking studios, and there's no games. I just don't understand what's going on.
I mean, even I agree, and we are sort of Xbox fanboys over the years.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck are the games, man?
Yeah.
I mean, I said this, for a while because we're moaning old blokes, but
yeah,
I like to play the game. Like, let's look at the first 4 years of PS3 compared to the first 4 years of PS5. It's like, we had 2 Uncharted's in this amount of time. We had 3 Gears of Wars in those 4 years, and we had 2 Halos, and we had this, and then you get to PS4, and that halves, and you get to PS5 and Xbox, and then that's gone down to 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're delaying games. They're taking longer to make them. The quality is worse.
Yeah.
And they're still releasing
crazy.
bad. I mean, when was the last Xbox exclusive that came out that wasn't buggy as hell?
I think Hi-Fi Rush came out not buggy, but I just don't think it was a very good game.
First party, or was that one they bought?
No, it was theirs. It was theirs. But I just didn't think it was very good. But it wasn't buggy.
Glorified indie game though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's digital only as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right, guys, we've been an hour. Is there anything else you want to say quickly before we end? Because it's obviously like a short kind of midweek special.
No, I think we've kind of covered it, but I think it would be sad to see Xbox go away, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
And like you say, it's good to have healthy competition, and I think that's gonna change things.
Yeah. Because Xbox did.
Maybe just go around and say, do we think Xbox should go digital only?
No.
But
I was just going to quickly say was if Xbox did stop making consoles, I don't see anyone else coming in to fill that void.
No.
And a Sonic 3D02 for the win.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, but the thing is, if Sony go the same way, you're never too big to fall. You know, Sega thought they were too big to fall, and they did.
Yeah.
Nintendo almost went after GameCube, and everyone thought they were on the brink. If the Wii didn't do what that did, they'd have been gone. Basically, if they said if the Wii would have sold like the Wii U, Nintendo would have died. That's how bad it was. So you're not too big to fail. Someone could come in. If there's money to be made and people want to spend it, someone would step up.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think we've said enough on the subject. It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of Xbox next week. So there'll be a normal podcast out, but before that announcement anyway. So we'll probably touch on this again on the weekend if anything else comes out in the meantime. So cool. Well, cheers for coming on, guys. Graham and Nick, it's been awesome. We've had our moan.
No problem.
And I'm going to go and have me curry.
Maybe we could do a happy podcast at one point this year. Just one.
No.
No, I don't think it's...
It's never going to happen, is it? Well, no, it'll probably happen when 7 Rebirth comes out. I'll be happy for a few weeks until I've completed it, and then I'll be sad again.
It'd just be loads of fapping noises. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Tifa. Anyway, on that note, it's been emotional. Thanks for coming on, guys, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.